There is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. That power that can make a way out of no way.
Today, in the world, there's so much suffering because of that one of prayer.
Welcome to the main event.
Live from New York City. My name is Doyal, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host Vira. This is the Prayer Revolution. We've started a prayer revolution. Welcome to the revolution. It's based on prayer. It's based on divine connection. And every morning we say a little prayer, and we discuss what it means to bring the mood of prayer into our daily lives, to live in a mood of continuous connection to higher source, higher power, higher love. And we have our good friend Veer Bhadra lead us in a morning prayer, and then we take it from there. That's our motto. We say a prayer and take it from there. So we're super, super glad that you're joining us. If you're new, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you're a regular, we love seeing you every day. Thank you so, so, so much for being here. If you're listening on one of our podcast platforms, we have a live Zoom group that interacts with us. So we might call some of our people out, give some shout outs to our live audience here. And if you'd like to join our live Zoom audience, please write to us at prayerrevolution@bhakticenter.org, and we are happy to send you the info that we have to. Right now, our Zoom link doesn't have a passcode, does it, Zoomers? It's just no. So we should probably do that, right? No, I got shrugged shoulders, like whatever. And so when Zoom first came out, it was like everyone's gonna hack your Zoom account, and then I think after a week, all the hackers were like, I'm over it. It's like whatever. And so it's like people are like teenagers. They just need something to destroy. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I was in high school, I won't get into all the stories now, but we would like look for things just to cause trouble, like no particular reason, you know? And so I think that at a certain point, the hackers are like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
So maybe another time I'll tell you some of the things my friends would do driving around the city at night, looking for things to disrupt.
All right. That sounds like a good, some good stories coming out.
We had a few pastimes. There's one particular thing we used to do. Maybe I'll share it later.
Okay.
Nothing too illegal or harmful. Just kind of
just a little destruction.
Just a little disruption.
A little clean destruction.
Yeah. But anyways, right now we don't have a passcode to our Zoom account, but we'd love to have you join the live Zoom account. You can interact with us, see your face, and interact on the chat board. But how you doing this morning, Vera? And what do you got for us? What's on your heart?
Grateful to be with you guys.
What's on that beautiful heart of yours?
Well, there's a prayer I'd like to share with you guys, and yeah, grateful. It's so funny, Damodar and Arjun, they're talking about effing stuff up and smashing car windows. Yeah, there is that destructive nature within us all. Anybody ever felt like just kind of just destroying something? Anyone ever seen office space? That printer just not working, just not cutting it.
What is the printer in your life is the question for today. Find the printer in your life and smash it.
All right. Disclaimer. We did not recommend that, period.
There's a World Anarchy movie that began. It's the prayer revolution.
Oh man. All right. Well, I was going in a different direction with my prayer, but we could see some modifications this morning.
Calm us down, Veer. Bring us back to our. We read last night from the Bhagavad Gita in one of our community groups. We went to India together last January. If you'd like to come to India with us, please join us in the fall or January. We take India trips and we go and we uplift. We don't destroy anything. We go and we uplift ourselves. But we had an India trip this last January, and the whole group came back, and we've just been continuously reading the Bhagavad Gita every Monday night. We've been doing it, and it was a blessing actually to do it online, because we've thought, how are we going anywhere and doing anything in New York City is a task. You got to go somewhere and get on the subway, and then you get out, and don't get home till 10 o'clock, and then just do it on Zoom. So we've been doing it on Zoom every week, reading a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and discussing. And last night we read chapter 16, which is the light and the dark, or the higher and lower natures of the living being. And so bring us back to our higher nature, Vera, because we're always walking that tightrope, right? It's always right there. Both dogs are barking at us, and it's a choice. And so we need, that's part of, I think, the mood of prayer is to constantly, my dear Lord, bring me back to my higher self, because I know what that lower self is capable of. And I know it's so close. It's like it's right there at the door waiting to get in. So take us there, Vera.
All right. Everybody that's joining in right now, let's get you guys to just pause. We're just going to spend a couple minutes and going within, going internal, and setting our own intentions, connecting to our individual heart, and through prayer, through spiritual intention, connecting to the universal divine heart, connecting to our divine beloved. Can soften your body, close your eyes, pause whatever you're doing just for a couple minutes. My dear Lord, we live to give. When we approach every moment of life with the intention to serve, to uplift, and bring the best out of each person and situation, we begin to experience a spark of your divine splendor. We live to love. And when we go into every moment considering how we may express that love and service practically, we begin to experience the boundless joy that is our eternal nature, the nature of our soul. We access these divine intentions, which are the very nature of our souls, when we remember you and connect with you through prayer, meditation, selfless service, and coming together with others with you in the center. Let us feel that connection with you and live these intentions as instruments of your divine will. My Lord, please help us to rise above fear. Please help us to go into our limitless nature, to awaken that limitless nature, that limitless capacity that each of us have to tolerate, to be compassionate, to respond with love, to respond with kindness, to see the beauty in this world even amidst chaos and challenge, and to bring that beauty out of the people that we come into contact with, to see the spark within each other's hearts and to fan that spark of spirituality, to fan that spark of truth, to be instruments that help one another to awaken to our eternal nature, our pure spiritual nature. We call out your divine names, my Lord, the sacred language of Sanskrit, some of your many unlimited names. We call them out like a child calling out for the mother and father. Please take us under your shelter. Please lift us up. Please help us to feel that love that we're seeking as we call out your names. Help us to feel that connection and help us to share that with the world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Vera.
Thank you, Doyal. Thank you for always. Thank you for being here. Day 50 something.
52, I think. Is that episode 52?
You've been here every single day. I came to New York in 2011. I met you, I think, probably a little bit after that, 2012 sometime. And anytime I've called on you, you've been there.
Do you remember the first moment we met?
The first moment we met, I want to say it's like in the stairs in the Bhakti Center or something, but I don't remember.
I think it was on the second floor in the Bhakti Center. Jai introduced us. This is my friend Vera.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this big momentous like moment. It was just like a casual meeting.
Yeah.
But I think that, and the only thing I knew about you is that you did Marma and you were a Mridanga player.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys were playing Mridanga, and you and Jai would sometimes have kirtans in the second floor with Korni Tai.
We would.
Mridanga.
We would have some pretty wild kirtans down there. It's kind of like a 5 rhythms ecstatic dance meets kirtan. We just let it flow.
Let it rip.
Yeah. I was thinking of when I first met you. I met Ganesham also around the same time, another monk that was living with Doyal in the Bhakti Center monastery.
I was living as a monk in the ashram? I was a monk. Yeah.
You hadn't moved out of the building yet. Yeah. Yeah. And I would get you and Ganesham confused because, you know, wearing saffron, you know, Italian boys, you know, shaved head, similar physiology, look like blood brothers. And I'd get you guys confused for the first few weeks. I remember I was there. I'd be like, Doyo, Ganesh, you know. And but I remember being in New York, and the immense amount of hospitality that I felt from every one of you guys. I remember another monk, Rasanath, also another monk, Pandit, like all these monks that were there. Even though there was a major transition happening in the leadership in the monastery, you know, there was a lot of changes happening. There was that mood that really, I feel like that's still there, you know, today. It's like the mood of divine hospitality, the mood of like meeting another person with loving kindness and intention and presence was so rich that I had no interest at that time. Like, not that I had no interest, but the vision for my life was not to like move into a temple and like help to run a temple in a community. I had a totally different plan for my life. And I think that was really like the onset, meeting Jai, who's now my brother-in-law, and meeting you and meeting the other monks and the different community members that were coming around. They just kind of captured my heart. And I just said, wow, you know, I'm going out in New York, I'm socializing, I've got clients, I've got business, but I've never experienced warmth like this from people that I've never met in my life. And I've been around a lot of spiritual communities and whatnot, but it was a very special flavor. It was very, it was like an authentic New York Bhakti experience.
Yeah.
All you New Yorkers out there, you know what I'm talking about, right?
But you grew up in a Christian movement. You grew up in devotional communities. So, I mean, you feel that was unique even throughout your life?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I think that it was, you know, it's growing up and being in your hometown, being in my hometown, I experienced a lot of warmth. I look back at my life, I had so many mothers and fathers, and you know, I look at the uncles and the big brothers and sisters that I had in community as a kid in Dallas, and it's easy to take it for granted. You know, it's easy for, you know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's just kind of like, it becomes like normalized and not really very appreciated. And I think something we could all relate to, just even with our families and friends in our life. And so then going into the world, living in Australia for some time, in Los Angeles, and business, and kind of being in the world, being very social and whatnot, that, yeah, I met some really beautiful people. I met some incredible people, no question about that. And there was something that was very, yeah, like it was like, you know, when an atmosphere, you feel like you could like scoop, you know, like ice cream out of it, or it's like so thick you could like actually like scoop something out of it and eat it. That the experience of hospitality, the experience of real genuine devotion was so palpable. It definitely started to stir something in my heart. So
yeah. How did you know Jai? How did you meet Jai?
I met Jai. Those of you that don't know, Jai's my brother-in-law. He's a big community builder, and for the last 10 years at the Bhakti Center, amazing person, amazing brother for us. And he, I met Jai through Gauravani. Those of us that don't know Gaura,
wow,
big kirtan artist, and you know, dear friend of mine and many of ours. And he, I was in Bhakti Fest in 2010. And Gaura was having this real kind of bad sinus infection. So I was giving him a treatment before he was going on set to share a kirtan at Bhakti Fest. And he just kind of like opened his eyes in like the middle of the session. He said, I had a vision. I was like, all right, here we go. You know, like Gaura, you know, you're trying to get him to relax and take her treatment. And these guys going mystical on me, you know. He's like, I saw you at the Bhakti Center in New York. And at this time I had no idea, no plans to be in New York, nothing like that.
Said, where was this? Where were you in the world at this time?
Joshua Tree, California, at Bhakti Fest. Okay. Yeah, a big kirtan festival in Joshua Tree they have annually.
Got it.
And so I was like, okay, whatever, you know. And then a year later, there was a business opportunity for me to go out to New York, meet clients, and check out New York. And when I was in New York, I reached out to Gora and I said, hey, somehow I'm coming out to New York, and I knew he was spending time there. I said, anyone you want me to meet? And Jai was one of those people. So you got to meet Jai, you got to meet Raghunath, and we, spend time with Janavi, a few others, Farah, Bryn, a few other people.
So he was like, I had a vision, and you were in New York, and that was all he said?
And then we did, and then it just, it went into the ether. I was like, Gora, just like, shut up. Like, let me give you a treatment. Just relax, don't go all mystical on me right now,
I see.
New York. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I live in LA. Like, I've never even thought about it. I'm not even thinking about New York. And so,
Gotcha.
so there was a little seed, there was something he saw. And then it just so happened a year later, there was a business opportunity and nothing connected to Gora. It was just for my own business. And he, at that time I reached out to him because I knew he was in New York. And so he told me he said, hey, there's a few people I really want you to meet if you're going to be spending time in New York. And Jai was one of those people. And I met Jai actually, and I went to the Bhakti Center. I didn't know it was the Bhakti Center. I just went to an address that he'd given me. And
meet me at this address.
Meet me at this address, exactly. And so I go over, so we meet him. We had a little lunch together. We were hanging out. And I just thought it was his apartment. I really had no idea what it was. I just went into a space I think was on the 5th floor. Okay. And then we went down onto the 1st floor to exchange body work. And it was kind of like a storage space, like a closed down restaurant. And I said, what is this place? I was like, you're like walking around like you own the building. I was like, what is this place? He's like, this is the Bhakti Center. And it was like one of those like, do. I was like back in Joshua Tree giving Gora a treatment. I was like, I'm in the Bhakti Center. I was like, this is not happening, And so it was a pretty far out.
He was like, this is the Bhakti Center. Click, lock the door and let you and you are not leaving.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I he could have locked the door. I was happy to stay. I was happy to stay. You guys captured my heart. So it's a pretty far out story though. Pretty far out. So
And you guys developed friendship from there.
We did. We became like best buds, and we would exchange body work every week and hang. We would hang out, and he was kind of just coming out of like a very like, strong kind of monastic, very like disciplined, like, kind of
lived in the ashram together.
Yeah, like this kind of intensity of a monk, And then he, like, I'm just like this dude in New York, and so then he started to like lighten up, and then he's just this hilarious guy. He's just a total goofball, and of course super deep also, and we struck up a really beautiful relationship. And of course there's so much goes beyond that. It's the rest is history. We married sisters. We lived together for 4 years, as couples in the Bhakti Center, and have tried to give our life to serving our teacher Radhanath Swami and serving the community, and we're that's a little bit of it.
Life was changed because of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Life has changed.
There was this whole it's so just interesting to think of that idea of like the happenstances, so to speak. I don't know if that's a word, happenstance or circumstance or whatever, of the people that we meet and where it takes us in life. And it's a question that gets brought up a lot, of like destiny and free choice, and we just happen, there's serendipitous meetings that we have in our life that it's like, oh, I met this person and everything changed, Yeah. And so there's this funny comedy sketch, like Aziz Ansari has this funny comedy sketch where he talks about his friends who they're married. He's like, I have friends who are married and have kids right now. Like, I think that too. Like, I have friends you're a friend of mine that's married and has a kid right now, and you think about that in life, and he'll ask stories of like where people met, and he's like, oh, well, we met in the parking lot of a Bed Bath & Beyond. And, it just so happened to be that we had similar cars parked next to each other. And, I thought my car was her car and she thought my car was our car. And we kind of, laughed a little bit. We ended up exchanging numbers and it ended up working out. Now we're married. We have kids. And he's like, that's an incredible story. It's very inspiring. Mm-hmm. He said, it's also incredibly anxiety producing. Because he's like, what if I'm supposed to be at Bed Bath & Beyond right now?
Yeah.
What if my life partner is in the parking lot and I'm missing them, Mm-hmm. And so this idea of like this once in a lifetime opportunity is is waiting for you at a particular spot in time and space. You know, it's like, you know, you went there and you happened to meet Jai, and it's like everything changed and you invited you over to the Bhakti Center, and you know what I mean? Like this whole course of life
Mm-hmm.
took place. And you know, and it creates this anxiety of like, you know, I'm missing it. Like what if I'm supposed to be, you know, what if I was like, oh, let's go over there, and like, I don't want to go right now, but I was supposed to go there, you know? And so
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that you know, it hint like Corvani mentioned that vision for you, and like you just had that little vision, and then like you happened to come and meet Chai. Do you think that that was destined to happen one way or another, regardless of, you know, or do you feel that, you know, that there's these little windows of opportunity that if you don't take it, you're going to miss it?
It's a great question, and you know, like you said, it's a question that we're discussing in any spiritual circle in the world. Is that kind of relationship between free will and God's will and divine will and nature's will? And my belief personally is that the that was destined to happen. You know, that was something that was destined to happen, and that Gora, you know, is a very connected person. I feel like one of the most connected people to the divine that I've ever met before, and so he's picking up on something that's coming downstream. Like he's kind of having a vision of something that he's kind of at a vantage point where I'm in a river and I'm moving in this river, and he's kind of seeing something that's a little bit downstream. And my vision is like I'm a little bit more in the water, so I don't see as far down. So I think that he had a vision of something that was destined to happen. And of course the conversation of destiny and free will is a beautiful dialogue, and that it's, you know, there are the general principles around it, and then it's also something that is really meant to be kind of discussed in a very like empathic and compassionate context, you know, in an individual basis, because sometimes destiny and free will brings up a lot of anguish for people, and it brings up a lot of negative emotions. You know, if someone's going through a difficulty or going through some suffering and struggling in life. And so I you know, I'm speaking about it generally right now and personally, but that I see in my life that that there is a higher power that is giving me circumstances and experiences like opportunities for me to be able to respond to. And based on how I respond to them, you know, I either continue to experience deeper growth, transformation, and connection to the divine, or I can see really where there's some work that needs to be done in my own consciousness and my own heart. So that's personally how I look at it. Kind of seeing everything as I'm in a school of love, and I'm getting these different opportunities to grow and to learn and to self-realize, to awaken what's inside through these different experiences that I'm going through in life, to ultimately to be able, like we're sharing in the prayer, to come to that fearless place, to come to that place where I'm soaring in the sky of limitlessness, that I'm no longer bound by circumstances, and that love can flow unlimitedly and freely from my heart without conditions. So that's a goal. That's a big, lofty goal, and I feel I'm far from that. I have a ways to go with that. But those are my beliefs, what I've understood from the yoga teachings and spiritual scripture that I've studied, and that's what I believe. And it's something that it empowers me. That's why I believe it. Is that the experiment of believing that is empowering. It's not just blind faith, but it's actually, you know, it's a spiritual technology. When I apply it to my life, that it leads to results. It leads to fulfillment and to growth. So
it's something that I've been working on a lot and meditating on a lot in my personal life, of surrendering to that idea that I don't have to that really what's meant to come to me will come to me, and that what's meant for me won't pass me by. Because it's easy for me to live in an anxiety that I'm going to miss out on the opportunities of life. And I think that normally I find that all that energy and zest and whatever it is to try to like move and make things happen in the world, or try to force myself to achieve or accomplish something, it's I'm actually I've been forced by life in a way, grinding it down to recognize that, wow, turn all that energy inward and towards Krishna, and that by doing that, I'll have the clarity of acceptance. Like I'll know when to step out, and I'll know when to pause and wait, you know? And so I find it so like, reading through the Gita or other spiritual texts, it's like you kind of start to see this lens of like Krishna constantly trying to tell us that over and over and over again. Just surrender to me. Just absorb your mind in me. Just think of me. Like you don't have to be a Bed Bath and Beyond right now. Like I'll let you know when you need to go to Bed Bath and Beyond. But like, don't worry about it. Like you think that you need to go to Bed Bath and Beyond. Who do you think arranged it that those two cars were the same and that you parked in the same spot and all those things that you think are circumstance? It's like all of that thing. It's like it's that there's that beautiful verse, from the Bhagavad Gita that even says that, the illusion from the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the disillusioned soul thinks that they're the performer of activities in life, but actually, they're not the doer. That it's all being carried out by material nature. Like I'm in some ways just a puppet being moved by material energy. And who is the Lord of that material energy? Krishna is the Lord of that material energy. And so it's like recognizing like, oh, just move me, Lord. You know what I mean? But in order for that to really make sense, I've got to invest. It's like it's not a path of inaction, but it's just as active. But it's, even just my wife and I this morning were having this conversation of just like how busy we are, and also exhausted we feel sometimes. And it's like, why are we so tired all the time? Like, we're not going anywhere, doing anything. You know what I mean? But we're busying ourselves still with so many things. I mean, positive things. She's running her own business. She's making masks. She has a clothing line. I'm doing Zoom calls and work and et cetera. And it's like, how can we really start to like set the boundary of like, oh, this is the time that I need to not like just rush and accomplish all these things. Like, set that boundary for me to invest a little bit more in my faith with Krishna. And I'm just
It's beautiful, yeah. And what I hear you sharing, you're discovering what's most important to you, and what actually helps you to stay in that consciousness. That helps you to stay in that evolved, awakened consciousness, and not to the tendency. I know I have it. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to it. The tendency to move into that I'm the doer, I'm the controller. Everything is resting on my shoulders. If I don't do it, it's not going to happen. If I don't do it, something's going to fail. If I don't go to Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm not going to meet my partner. Blah, 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 blah. It's like a mental breakdown, putting so much pressure on ourselves, and we're actually in a river, right? We think like we are the river. We are the ones that are moving the world. We are the ones that are creating the current, the ripples, and the waves. We're in a river, right? And we're being moved. And what I'm hearing you say is the investment in that consciousness to be able to see that, recognize that, and to set the time aside for that, make sure that it doesn't.
Self-pressuring. It relieves self-pressuring. Someone wrote on the chat board. This is the verse. I thought I'd read this verse in purport, and we can take this with us. It's Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, verse 27. It's a beautiful, beautiful verse. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. The soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego. The word for false ego is literally ahankar in the verse. Aham, I am kar, the doer. Kar, like karma, action. So I am the doer. I'm the actor. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. It's a beautiful short purport that's kind of speaking to everything we were just mentioning. It says two persons, this is a commentary, two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that they are the doer of everything. They do not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately they are under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of their nescience. They do not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, their bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. The ignorant person forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesh, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to their long misuse of the senses and sense gratification, they are factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes them forget their eternal relationship with Krishna. So this idea that like I've got to be somewhere, I got to be somewhere right now. I got to go. It's still the mentality of I got to figure it out. It's on me. You know what I mean? I'm going to make it happen or I'm going to miss it. Like the idea of like I made the right choice or I made the wrong choice is still the sense of like I'm the doer. It's resting on me. And I think that what Krishna is asking here, what's being reminded of us in this verse is like Krishna's not waiting for you at Bed Bath & Beyond. He's right here in front of you right now. And if you meet him, he'll tell you everywhere you need to go. Because it's not like your destiny isn't to meet that one person right there at that moment. Your destiny is Krishna will make it happen. Will move the pieces one way or another in order for you to fulfill that destiny of your life. Because the destiny of your life isn't for material circumstances to fall in place in a very particular way. It's meant for you to move towards surrendered love. And if it doesn't happen that way, it's going to happen that way. You know, and I think that's the faith that I try to have, that Krishna is urging us to have, is to have faith that ocean will be reached. The shores of that ocean will be reached. And so it's a beautiful, one of my favorite verses from the Gita, a beautiful verse in purport. So I was thinking that, wanted to share that.
Beautiful, Mama. Thank you.
Got a closing word, closing thought for us, Vira? What do you think?
Yeah, just like Krishna's saying to Arjuna on the battlefield, you know, that, okay, show up and fight, but the fight has already happened. The war is already won, you know, and so that combination of showing up 100% to what are we doing right now, guys? What are we about to do right now? We're about to hop off prayer revolution. What y'all gonna do today? So we're gonna show up 100% to whatever you're gonna do. I'm gonna go and have a little coaching session after this. Show up 100% and then surrender the results. I don't control the outcome of this. This person may never want to coach with me again after this, or this person, you know, may have a total transformative experience. I don't control that, but I can show up in the consciousness of being an instrument of service, being an instrument of support, knowing that God is within his heart. I can show up in that consciousness. I can be prepared and show up moment to moment in that consciousness. And then, like you said, I'm a puppet, make me dance, you know, whatever it is that however you move me, I don't control that. Right. And so let's show up 100% in our consciousness, in our intention, in our prayer, in our mood. And the result is a beautiful opportunity for transformation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vira. Thank you so much, everybody. So glad you guys tuned in today. If you're listening on one of our podcast platforms, thank you for joining in. We love you. We're grateful that you're here. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. Or if you're not listening on Apple Podcasts, go listen on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, leave us a written review. We want to hear from you. And as always, you can write to us at prayerrevolution@bhakticenter.org. We love your feedback. We love your questions. Anything you want us to address or talk about on the show. We love you guys so much. And also, I wanted to announce Vira Budger. Is it today or next week? Vira Budger is leading a lifestyle transformation course online. You want to say something about that, Vira? What's the date?
That starts next week, Tuesday, the 19th at 10 a.m. It'll go for 4 consecutive weeks. And, you know, you were talking about it today, Doyle. What's most important in our life? What is truly most important in our life. Let's get clarity about that. Let's create accountability around that. We have a group. We had the first course we did earlier in the year. I put more thought into it, more energy into it to see how to make it more transformational for everybody. And yeah, actually let's focus and let's put time and energy toward what's most important in our life, and let's have the support and accountability around us to do that. So that is what we'll be doing for 4 consecutive weeks starting next Tuesday.
You can
come and join us.
You can go on bhakticenter.org/online. Let's go to bhakticenter.org/online. You will find it there. And the link for that lifestyle transformation course. Please join us. We love you. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks so much.
Love you, DG. Take care, guys. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much, Michelle, Anthony, Julie, AJ, Trisha. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.